This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning, all.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. Not this one. I guess my file is missing here. Yeah, we have to discuss about locator controls. Yesterday, I have created a new organization. So we have created a locator flex field, and I have created a new organization. I don't remember the name of that organization. Let me just check it. Change organization to. This is G. What is the name that they have given?
G location something for copying.
G.
GOC organization copy.
GTL.
I think that was.
Now, setup, organizations, organization parameters. And here we have enabled locator is pre-specified only, and we have created some locators, I guess. Like we have created even sub-inventories. Like Store 1, 2, 3, 4, and for store 1, I guess we have defined some locators 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2, 5. And we already have created some item. Yes, we have created GEGSS locator item. Now I'm going to create a miscellaneous transactions like transactions, miscellaneous transactions. This is miscellaneous receipt. Now this is the locator item. Sub inventory is to 1. Locator is, we can accept only predefined locators. We cannot enter a new locator. This is some 100 quantity and save this. Now we'll see dynamic entry allowed. In dynamic entry allowed, we'll be able to enter the locators at run. Now, in order to change it to dynamic locator, now we have to go to organization parameters, setup, organizations, parameters. So now I'm going to change the locator control from pre-specified to dynamic entry.
Sir, earlier you said that as we have already created the organization and we have specified the locator at the organization level, we cannot change it. Then will it allow us to change the locator control now?
No, see, this is pre-specified only, right? If it is none, from none, we cannot change it to pre-specified or dynamic entry. From pre-specified, we can change it to dynamic entry allowed.
Okay.
Dynamic entry allowed. Now you see, when I'm going to create a transaction for any sub inventory, I'll be able to create the locators at runtime during transaction. This is miscellaneous receipt, transaction lines. This is GGSS locator. Now you can take this into any stores, like actually valid locators which are defined for store 1 is 111, 112. But now I'm going to enter a new locator 113. It will accept because it is dynamic entry. That is the meaning of dynamic entry.
Locator will create automatically.
Yes, dynamic entry meaning whatever the locator that you create at transaction time, with that locator it is going to create a new locator.
Means if you go and check in a locator screen also, it will be available, right?
Yes, it will be available. I'll show you. Now I have created 113, right? Now again, when you go to sub inventories and locators, search for your locator. This I have created in store 1. Locators, yes, 113. Are you getting the point here?
Yes.
And determined at sub inventory level. Now, when I set determined at sub inventory level, we have an option to change the locator separately for each and every what sub inventory. Now we'll see setup, organizations, parameters, determined at sub inventory level. Yes, it may cause some invalid transactions, but it is going to allow you to save at sub inventory level. Now we have an option to set different locator control for different sub inventories. So what I do here is, now I'll go to sub inventories. Now for store 1, meaning I'm allowed to change the locator control at my item level now. So for store 1, I'm going to change it to dynamic entry. And for store 2, I'm going to set it as pre-specified. And for store 3, I'm going to set it at item level. Item level meaning I can use the locator control which is set at item level. And for store 4, I'm going to set the locator control as none. Meaning no locator control is required for store 4 for any item. Meaning I'm allowed to change the locators at sub-inventory level, provided only when at my organization level it is set as dynamic determined at sub-inventory level. Now here we have created already an item like the GSS item. Hope if you remember that item locator control is, this item level locator control is no control. This is no control, but still. Now, when I'm going to receive the material in my store 1, transactions, miscellaneous transactions, this is miscellaneous receipt. For store 1, I can enter the locators at runtime. Meaning already we have created 111, 112, 113. Now I'm going to enter 114. It will accept. Right. Now the same thing, this is for store 2. Now when I try to enter a new locator here, for store 2 we have not actually created any locators as such. 211. Now when I enter 211, it will not. This combination is disabled, or please choose an existing, and moreover we have not defined any predefined locators for this. So it will accept only predefined locators in this sub inventory 2. But whereas in store 3, it will not ask you to enter the locator, because store 3 is going to use the locator which is set at item level. Item level it is set as no locator. Item level it is set as no locator. So I'll just come back to this point. Now I'll just create another item. Here, items, master items. and go to inventory, and I'm going to create some locators, say for example dynamic entry. And at the same time I'll define some valid predefined locators for store 2. Setup organizations, for store 2 locators is now you see the difference when I'm going to create the transaction. There is transactions, miscellaneous transactions. This is miscellaneous receipt, and account is click on transaction list. This is GGSS1. So for store 1, for any item it is dynamic entry. For any item it is dynamic entry. It is 115. Will accept. And for store 2, GGSS1, for store 2 will be able to accept only, say here, if I give a new locator as 224, will not accept. But if you want to combinations, you can see that there are only valid locators here, 221, sorry, 211, 221. So here we'll be able to accept only predefined locators. But for store 3, if I'm going to use GGSS1 in store 3, it is dynamic entry, meaning it is now going to use the locator which is set at item level. We will accept it. The same thing when I'm going to use GGSS LOC for store 3, it will not ask you to enter the locator. Why? It will not ask you to enter the locator. For GGSS1 it is asking for locator, but it is not asking for, because for this item level we have set the locator control as no control. And when you are going to accept any item in, if you are going to accept any item in store 4, it is not mandatory you to give the locator. Even then the item level is set as dynamic. It is not required to enter the locators when we are going to receive the material in store 4, because the store 4 locator control is not, that is none. Am I clear on this point? Any questions on this, please?
So by this, you will the item level override the sub-inventory level, or sub-inventory level with the highest level? Which one?
No, I made the point very clear. Here, organization level will override sub-inventory level. Sub-inventory level will override item level. Right? Any questions? Let's see this. So, but in some cases, what I would like to do is, I would like to restrict specific item only in a specific locator, or in the, sorry, specific in item in specific sub inventory, and the two in a specific locator. Then while creating an item, we have some controls by which we can always restrict an item to be accepted in a specific sub inventory and specific locator. So I'm going to create a new item. This is master item, and here I'm going to give GSS2, go to inventory, and here first you copy the template. Click on apply, done. Here, restrict sub inventories, meaning we can always restrict this item to be accepted in only specific sub inventories, and within that sub inventory you want to restrict a specific locators. Yes.
Sir, can you create one custom template of this?
Hello.
Like finish. Hello, sir. This is Tarun here. Can you create one custom template you given finished code, right? Like GE finished code, like that. Can you create one template instead of selecting standard template? We'll see how the template will work.
Sure. But let me complete this topic, right?
Yeah, after this, you are selecting template. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, sure. Restrict sub inventories, restrict locators.
But still it is showing, but you have selected no locator control. Okay.
So here when I'm going to say restrict locator, always make sure that it is pre-specified. Now I'm going to create. Now how do we restrict? But here I just enable the controls, but we still have not restricted this to any specific sub inventory or locator. So now you go to sub inventories, search for your sub inventory. So here I'm going to select items of the items and sub inventories. Which items you wanted to assign here? Say GSS1. I'll assign all the items. But among all these items, we have enabled restrict sub inventories only for which item here? GSS item. And for this GSS2, I wanted to accept this only in which locator here? 111. Of course, we can also restrict it for one or more locators. Now you see, when I'm going to create a transaction for GSS2, transactions, miscellaneous transactions, this is miscellaneous receipt. So GSS2, here in this list, I'll be able to see only store one, and that too only in which locator here? Here I'm able to see only one locator. We have many locators created for this sub inventory, but if I try to accept with any other locator, Oh, how come? This is GSS2, right? And here I'm supposed to see only which locator here? Actually 111. But it is showing all this. But it is sub-inventories, it is showing like it is showing only one sub-inventory. Let me just check it here. Setup, organizations, sub-inventories, with sub-inventory, store one, and here items are this, and we have enabled 1 maybe you have to make sure that at item master level items, master items, GSS2. Here it is restrict locators. I don't know why it is not working for this. I'll just create a new item. This is GSS3. This is restrict locators. Now I'm going to restrict this. Go to sub inventories. I'll restrict it for a different sub inventory. Store to which item? GSS3, and I don't have locator created. Okay, let me just check it. This is 221. So this item should be always supposed to be received only in this sub inventory, and that too only in this locator. That is what restrict sub inventories and restrict locator means. This is for store 2. Now I'll be creating a transaction here. Miscellaneous transactions, miscellaneous receipts. Here I'm able to restrict by sub inventory, and here when I search for the locator, yes, now it is working. It is restricted with only this particular locator, meaning we'll be able to accept always this item only in this locator. Am I clear on this concept here?